and it is Thursday, which means it's AMA time. We're going to give it just a couple minutes. We got a few more people that are going to hop on stage. We'll give people time to get into the audience, and then we will get started.
Mic check. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. Oh,
Sweet.
yeah. I hope everybody can hear me this week.
That was crazy.
All right. I do believe we have everybody up here. So we'll go ahead and get started with today's AMA. And we will start off with the Frisky Fox.
Great. Sorry, I was typing. Yes, thank you. Happy to be here. It's been another week. I can't believe it. It just flies by so fast. Um, and I'm going to try very hard to not say and like as much during this time. So we'll see how I do. But yeah, there's been a lot going on. There we go. Okay, we've got it's a lost cause. I've been working hard on duels scoring updates. I had some people ping me in our Discord channel about that for updates, and just so you guys know, it involves a lot of data crunching. We look at historical data for season two, which is very nice that we have some like mechanisms in place now to see what those are. So we can add those and run them in a spreadsheet and a script for a calculation. And what I've been doing is I've been tweaking some of the variables and then analyzing it with queries, sticking it into charts, and seeing how each tweak to the variable changes those lines on the charts. So that's been a long process, but it's been really good. And it also sets us up very nicely for season three, because a lot of things that we did for season two, we had to kind of guess on because a lot of things were changed. Season three won't be quite as drastic of a change in terms of matchmaking or scoring or things like that. So we can more easily see, okay, here's some realistic data from season two. Let's make sure that season three incentivizes everyone the correct amount. So that's really good to get that set up. And we're getting close. I have a few more tweaks and simulations I want to run, but I'm planning to try to release the updates for that to the scoring model later today. And that will be live under a new scoring like regime, you could say, for a few hours while I monitor it. And if all goes well with that monitoring, then I will execute a script that will update everybody's scores to basically reflect what it would have been had this scoring regime been in place retroactively. I think everyone should see a bump in their score. It would vary based on what your win rate is and how many duels you fought and a bunch of other variables too. So it's not going to be the same multiplier for everyone. Some people might increase more than others just because they've been happened to have been doing things that have been targeted more in the new regime. So hopefully that answers some questions there. It's getting close, and I'm excited for that to roll out soon. There's also things that we've been really planning and talking about for season three. There's some interesting ideas there from Hubert and others that we're going to try to implement there. So stay tuned for that as well. Updates on the pre-compile. I put up a PR last week with Avalanche to get some eyes on that, and had some of their guys reach out to me and just kind of talk about it a little bit, but no real hard decision yet on whether that will be merged into the upstream or not. If it does get merged, it's great for us because then we don't have to maintain our own fork. But if it doesn't, we'll have to look into maintaining our own fork sooner, anyways. But with that said, we were kind of already looking at maintaining our own fork anyways with precompiles, because we have other cool things that we can do with them related to like randomness and block hash oracles, and even like securing specific things about our blockchain that would allow us to open it up more fully to other people that want to build there. So exciting things there as well. I'll probably let Magnus talk a little bit about that, and that also kind of ties into the RFC that we talked about last week that we want to do with the community and open things up for comment. Magnus probably has some updates about power-ups and audits and maybe even oracles. So I'll hand the mic over to him and then finish us up.
Yep, sounds good. So yeah, first off, power-ups is starting to look pretty good for release. We're doing some final testing on that, and we'll also have some updates this afternoon on mainnet in preparation for that. So it's been a ton of 12-hour plus days these last few weeks to get power-ups ready. So I'm really looking forward to shipping this patch, and I hope you guys like the new functionality we've added. Yeah, so in preparation for this release, we're going to be doing a ton of updates to mainnet on both Clayton and DFK chain. A few of our contracts will likely be reverting during the 1 hour change window. But that is of course temporary, and we'll get that squared away as soon as we can. It's probably going to be about 75% of the multi-sig transactions as the Clayton launch. So I hope my ledger survives the experience. And then with this update, because we added some extra computation, we're looking at limiting questing to 5 heroes and 5 attempts, specifically for Clayton, due to the computation limit they have in place to ensure their 1 second block times. But that's hopefully temporary, because as I mentioned in the AMA last week, I'm working with Clayton to see if we can get those the computation costs for those opcodes tuned a little bit, so we can hopefully raise that back up. But yeah, more to come on that front, and it will require a hard fork from Clayton, so not an easy thing to do, but we're definitely working with them as best we can on that. I'm also putting some finishing touches on the DFK chain allow list request for comment document that we'll be releasing soon to get feedback from the community on that. Oh yeah, and Hubert wanted me to mention that that's strictly for fishing and foraging. Everything else will be the same as far as we've seen so far in terms of like the other quests. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll hand it back to the next person.
Awesome. Yeah. Fox, did you have anything else?
I was like scrambling to unmute. Yes, I have a couple more things. So one of them is related to data again. I sort of mentioned it last week how we're having a new internal push to share or to collect as much data as we can about our contracts. It's very, very useful internally for creating like metrics and analyzing the results of our like campaigns for snapshots and airdrops and things like that. And it's been very, very useful even for like information that like we'll have in case we ever need to show like, you know, auditors or things for taxes or things like that, which we do because we're an actual company, you know. So I think it's really been eye-opening to just see how much data that we generate on the blockchain. And so figuring out the best ways to most efficiently store that and mine that has been amazing. And I think it's really going to pay dividends for us down the line. We also kind of talked internally about potentially opening up that data to the community in the future as well, similar to how we've done for our APIs and things like that. So those are things that we are discussing, and we would like to do that. It's sort of a phase 3 type of thing where currently like we're just trying to automate and optimize the collection, and then also creating internal reports and dashboards. And so like the next phase really is how do we more fully make this available to the community and for those who are trying to build cool things. So if you have ideas for things that would need data and you don't know how to get that data, chances are we might have it. So feel free to reach out to Sunbear or others or like Mr. Zipper with your ideas, and he can communicate that back and we can see if that's something we could start to collect, or perhaps we're already collecting it and see what we can do there. So just throwing that out there. And yeah, also the screencast that was shared from the Scarlet Hearth, for those that watched that and commented on it, it was very, very kind words were said about it, and I do appreciate that. I'm happy that everyone seemed to have enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to make, and I hope that we can do more of those in the future as well. So I was surprised there was so many people who actually could sit through an hour of me coding Solidity. So that was really fun to do. And I guess my last piece is just a note that I have now become an understudy to Sam for music because he implemented one of my randomly composed melodies into a song, and I'm super happy about that. It was a train wreck, and he's like, "Hold my beer. I'm gonna put that in our next song." So this is a joke, in case you can't tell. I'm not super artistic, but he is, and so I'm excited for that. And with that, I'll hand it back over to you, Bolan.
Thank you, thank you. We need to have a Sam AMA. We just make him talk for an hour, really. Real quick before we go to Dreamer, I did just want to emphasize one thing that Magnus mentioned because it's such a good example of why we went to Clayton, and their level of partnership and willingness to work with us, of being able to talk to them about possibly making a change to the chain in terms of computation limits to better accommodate us and what we're trying to do. So I just wanted to emphasize that because it really is just such a perfect example of what took us in that direction and why being with Clayton is such a good partnership. And with that, I will go over to Dreamer.
Cool. Thanks, Bolon. Yeah, I will give an update on three things. Then I actually have to drop the AMA, drop from the AMA, because I have a call related to one of the topics. So the first I'll give an update on is market making, which is related to centralized exchange listing. So that's actually the call that I have in a few minutes. It's with a major exchange listing team to get things going there on the info gathering. But prior to that, in other meetings, we've been meeting with market makers. So some things we're learning about. We're learning about price models, because each one has a very different way that they go into like business or an agreement with a project to offer market making. One of the ways is you are charged a fee and a retainer. Another one is you actually share on the profit and loss of the trading that takes place. And the third one that tends to be one that is used the most with like tier one market makers is what I'll refer to here as a loan optionality model. The first two are probably pretty straightforward. And I think we're seeing, we're trying to gauge the importance of like primary goal of offering healthy liquidity and like a fee retainer or profit sharing model. I think they've worked for many projects at different stages of their lives, in different markets. The loan optionality model is one that may align interests in a different way. Some might see it to be more positive, but it is at a cost of offering up a significant amount of inventory and liquidity. That is essentially you identify a series of strikes or a single strike price, and the market maker over X amount of time has the right to essentially buy or pull on that amount agreed upon at that price. So let's say that price is $1. And during the time period, the price of the token that we're talking about goes to $2. Essentially, they can continue to buy the price at $1 if the price is going up. If the price is going down, they essentially don't buy anything additional because the price is higher than the strike in my example here. And essentially, they buy it back from the centralized exchange itself. So there are some like smoothing benefits to that approach. There are some downsides of having to earmark a significant amount of the overall float, which majority of that float is covered by our, and owned by the community, which is very good, but it's just different. We are a different beast to solve for than other projects. So different price models to consider. They each have their benefit, both short-term, long-term impact on treasury and so on. We are finding that loan optionality model is being used more heavily on tier one market makers. So why would we even want a tier one market maker? This goes into my second point, or considering like partner credibility, because a good market maker or a market maker period is the step to a listing on a healthy exchange. So the higher tier the exchange, the more volume is expected on the exchange, and therefore the better your market making needs to be. So when we're talking to listing teams and they ask, who is your official market maker? If they do not know them or have not worked with them or have had bad experiences in the past with them, where I've seen like maybe not the best liquidity be managed for whatever reason, whether or not it's that market maker's fault or not, it can affect where you are in line or even getting a listing at all. So partner like credibility is very important to the listing process as well. And then the third piece, which somebody asked about, I think in a previous AMA on like chat, is like chain integration with centralized exchanges. That means, oftentimes, now I'm saying, Fox, you got me thinking about that. Oftentimes when folks are on a different chain other than like Ethereum mainnet, when they do a centralized exchange listing, they do like a wrapped version of their token, and then it just kind of off ramps right onto Ethereum. Then you have to bridge from there. It adds added steps, and obviously our preference would be for DFK chain to be integrated in whatever centralized exchanges we get listed on and our market makers are working with. But we're learning, however, that could also affect like where you are in line and how long it takes to get an approval and get that to market. So as we gather more information, if this is the difference of like a month or two, it'd probably be very attractive to have DFK chain integration right off the bat. If it's the difference of like 6 months to a year or some unknown date, we might have to consider the option of less chain integration and just weigh the pros and cons there. So just want to be fully transparent. We're nowhere near like getting an official listing and announcing that, but we're doing a lot of work on info gathering. So I wanted to pass that on, what we are focusing on, what we're learning. We're probably pretty close to identifying who our market maker will be. And then, we'll see what we do from there, whether it's a chaos cast or an AMA or anything of the sort. But yeah, that's the market making centralized exchange listing update from me. Next is lending. So lending has come up a few times. Initially when we launched Crystal Vale, and we were at Avalanche Summit. That was a different market, but we were looking to collaborate with as many in the ecosystem as possible. We have been revisiting those talks now, and again in the info gathering stage, also talking with some lenders on Clayton's side as well. And there's two kind of takeaways that we're learning. One is in this market, we have to be very careful with the model relative to the collateral that is being like posted in the model. So I come from a traditional finance background, and my expertise was in risk, and I actually was very involved on the prime brokerage side, which is all model based. I actually did due diligence as well on all of the top hedge funds in the world who run models as well and algorithms in their trading processes, and risk management guidelines, when to de-risk, what the model does prior to or leading up to liquidation is all really important. And I think some models have been built or optimized in the bull market, and in the bear market they need to be re-optimized. There's a lot of lessons learned with the new events that we've seen. So we're being very, very intentional on learning about how the models work. If Jewel was used as collateral, what does that mean? What kind of LTVs, loan to values, would be offered? What would a liquidation or closeout scenario look like? How much would it have to move in order for that to happen? Because we really don't want to introduce incremental functionality that people may not fully understand, that is, at least from our biased view, like a disproportionate amount of risk to extend to our users. So we are looking to innovate a little bit here and there. There is an attack vector that is known if you have an asset that you're lending on that has low market cap, there's some ways to manipulate some lending models out there. So yeah, we're just looking to innovate the space, work with partners there, and see if we can add on to some already awesome technology to be even more appropriate, not only for the upcoming, hopefully, fingers crossed, bull market, but any pullbacks or things that we see, so that we can operate in a safe environment while also doing as much as we can to encourage and innovate the DeFi space. Last is my last topic is on the burn plan. So earlier this year, oh wow, it's a new year. Mid last year, we talked about our ongoing topic in our tokenomics committee related to burn options. So one of those was related to hero burning, and that was realized through dark summoning. So if you haven't dark summoned much lately or haven't or wasn't aware of it, go check it out. It's in Crystal Vale and has some awesome features related to the summoning process. I won't go into detail there. But that wasn't all. We were also looking at locked tokens, especially leading up to unlocking events. With the events that happened with Harmony, that shifted our focus, and we found some solutions that were different. But we haven't forgotten about locked token spending. But and I don't even know if spending is the right word, but essentially being able to use your locked tokens for features in game, where a portion of them are burned and a portion of them are either going to Quest Fund or the fees that are already in the game. We are thinking of and kicking around additional ideas of further token burning and ways that we can make it fun, maybe tie it into some of the remainder of Gen Zeros that we have from Christabel and Serendale 2.0, and have it be kind of an ongoing thing. So more details to come there. I'm just going to tease it. Maybe Fox will pop in here and add additional detail. But in addition to what we mentioned in the past, being brought back into scope and getting closer to kind of the build priority, we have added upon that with a few other interesting ways that we can burn tokens, not only heroes and not only lock tokens. So I'll pause there with my update. I will have to drop here, but Fox, anything to add on, I guess, any of those topics, but mainly the burn one?
Yeah, it's just I think we've probably spent collectively like over 100 hours talking about what's the best way that we could incentivize our users and players in the best way to make use of some of our like remaining Gen Zero assets that are out there and other really sought after in-game type of things and incentivizing the right behavior that we want to see. So we've been really very, very, very thoughtful about the best way to do this, and it is a big thing. And I think it's going to actually be a very, very positive thing to come out. So I know that you didn't share a lot of details. We've got some very, very solid plans, but I think we wanted to build them out more and have it very close to be able to actually push the button on before we go into much more detail about it. But feel free to ask questions in like the talk site about more specifics, and I'm sure we'll be able to throw more out there. But just want everyone to know that it is very, very high on our list, and we've got a very good solution, I think, in place for that. So thank you, Dreamer, for the updates there, and also for the updates about market making and all that type of stuff. I'm personally very stoked about that as well. I think having easier on ramps to our app and to our chain from like other chains and even like places like centralized exchanges and things is huge, just to like reach more users basically. So super stoked about all of that. Thank you for all your hard work there.
Appreciate it, gentlemen. And let's go over to Pieface for an update.
Awesome. It's been a little bit since I've been up here, but it's so great to talk to you all to give an update on the digital pillar. As you guys know, we have our little pillars going on, and I'm leading the digital side, and that includes marketing, merch, branding, and things like that. So I'd like to start on our little new moon event, kind of coinciding with Chinese New Year, and I hope you all are enjoying the bun buns taking over the realms. And if you guys don't already know, they are there for a reason because it's a fun opportunity for you all to count them all and oh, I said dang it. But yes, so you count them all and submit them into a form. Check out the Medium article that we tweeted out and counting all of the bun buns in each realm because they're both in Serendale and Crystal Vale. And yeah, there's fun prizes that you can get from that. And then we have today our Gen Zero raffles. One is the consolation one and also the merch one. And so we've Bolon posted the spreadsheet of the submissions, and you can all those who submitted can check it out, and we will be using that spreadsheet to raffle off 5 Gen Zeros. So that's very exciting coming up later today. And I do want to share some really cool milestones and also things going on out in social media about DeFi Kingdoms. And we had shared how we had our 150,000th hero summoned, and that was in Crystal Vale, which is really awesome. And not only that, we are approaching 500,000 heroes summoned ever across Serendale, Crystal Vale, and Serendale, Serendale on Clayton. So that's very, very exciting. Well, a really cool milestone, and just summoned ever. And I don't think we'll minus, we can go into negatives on ones that have been burned and dark summoned. But yes, anyways. And then DAP Radar had shared earlier a few days ago that DeFi Kingdoms was 3rd place in volume, and that was behind Axie Infinity and Sandbox, which is really cool. Great exposure there. And something fun that we noticed about duels is that we crossed 1 million duels entries across all realms and all seasons ever. And we're thinking of doing something special to celebrate. And Fox actually said that he'll pledge a hero summon for the millionth dual entry. So we'll kind of find that out somewhere, find who that was, and he actually said he'll keep summoning until he reaches like a rare or higher rarity for the hero. So that's a fun thing that Fox is doing for duels, since duels is his big old project that he worked on the Solidity side. So, and then another final update on my side is that we're at, wait, how do I say this phrase? We're at hard work. We're hard at work. We're hard at work at designing event merch for the events we'll be at for this year. So we're really excited about that. We're going to be making some real cute, fun things for everybody, and that'll be we're excited. It'll be kind of collectible items that build off of last year. Little hint down there. So that's all for me. I'm very excited for this year. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Pi. Man, Fox really sabotaged us on this AMA. I feel like none of us can think straight now. We're so focused on not messing up.
Yeah.
Let's go to Beetle Dude.
I'm gonna pass.
All right.
All right, I'll go. I'm just gonna say 3 words and then quit it, and that'll be it. And there won't be any ums. Just kidding. All right, we'll give you an update. Here we go. So yeah, I think people are excited about the possibility of a release coming soon. Magnus mentioned the power-ups that we've been working on hard. We've got a ton of people working on that, and just continuing to push forward. We are getting really close. There's been a lot of hours put into testing that, building that out, and now we're kind of getting to the end of that line. And I'm going to say that we are tentatively looking at tomorrow as the date that we'll be launching the power-ups. So we're going to be shooting for that as the launch date. So hopefully everything goes well. We've already posted that we'll be putting quests on hold for a little bit so we can do some contract updates. And tomorrow we'll be hopefully looking at launching those power-ups. So that's super exciting. That release is also going to include all of the Hero Hub updates as well, which are amazing, let me tell you. Part of that is going to be letting you search by appearance genes, which I'm super excited about because I want those Ronin-haired backpack heroes. So if you got any, put them up in the tavern. I'm going to be looking for them. Other than that, we've just been working on PvP constantly. That's a huge feature that we were pushing forward with in conjunction with Wisdom. They're doing a great job on that as well. And hopefully people have been enjoying the info leaks that have been coming out about that. I've mentioned many a time that we're looking at in-game chat. We should be able to start looking at that in earnest this week now that Power Ups is getting wrapped up. And other than that, just been doing quite a few performance optimizations for the site and for our local development items as well. With Typical, who has been really killing it on that side of things, just some really great increases and bundle size decreases. So hopefully that's apparent when this release comes out as well. So yeah, just a ton of great stuff. Excited to be getting that out. I know it seemed like we've kind of been having to keep doing some hardening and testing on that. But I think once it comes out, it'll be a super great feature, and it really lays the foundation for more of that realm in the future, especially with power-ups. We kind of have the sky's the limit of what we kind of develop and release. So yeah, that's the application side update for now. I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting, but I don't want to say anymore, so I'm cutting it. Go on, back to you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Hubert?
Alrighty, I'm gonna try not to fall into the psychological trap that Fox created for us all, and not worry about any ums that I say. And then I'm also gonna very hard try not to say any, because that's how things go. So anyway, the first thing that I've been working on has been with PvP is always kind of first and foremost. We spend a lot of time doing that, working together with Wisdom on really everything that goes into that, and there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of time spent, and I think it's very well spent, and we're making a lot of great progress, and I'm really excited for the future there. More recent, as far as more pressing things in terms of sooner releases than that, since that's a little bit further out, are there's some work towards the lock token efforts that Dreamer mentioned. I'm working a little bit on that, as well as getting things ready for our release of the green pet egg hatching and level 10 profession quest and pet utility. Still some more to go with that as well. Getting ready to just have that. That's going to be one of our main focuses here pretty shortly. And then another thing is kind of dusting off something that has kind of been on the back burner for quite a while now, which is our tournament system. So I'll probably have more to say. I think there's a question about that. So I'll just mention that that's something else that is being revitalized and re-looked at, and trying to take it in a little bit of how to say, I guess kind of break it into smaller pieces. We initially had that thing settled just for land tournaments as an initial thing in the page 10 of the Eternal Story, but we're looking at expanding it, or I guess generalizing it so that it can be used in multiple places and kind of tweaked for the whatever purpose it's for. So those are all things that I am currently focused on, and I think that's all I have right now for an update.
Thank you. And I've been practicing Hubert. There we go. Gotta emphasize the F. Or not the F, the H. Complete wrong letter. Don't, yeah. Anyway, we're
Hubert.
just gonna move on. So let's take some questions. So first question is going to be for Hubert. Any plans on changing the calculations for mining in Crystal Vale and Sarandale 2, given the higher cap of total tokens?
Yeah, not at this time. I think we've had that question asked before in the past as well, and yeah, at this time, no. Planning to just keep it as is.
Awesome. Yeah, and just to expand a little bit on that from the last time we talked about it, it would really only be punishing because the cap doesn't change the yield. So if we did say you have to have more locked tokens to mine at maximum efficiency, you wouldn't actually get more. You would just have to have more to be able to get what you are already able to get. Correct?
That's right. Yeah, that would be the result if we did increase it. So, yep.
Cool. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Will you be able to use potions during PvP? And if so, will there be a limit on how many can be used per battle?
So the plan is yes, but maybe not in all instances of PvP. And that's yes to the first question. The second question, as far as limitations go, we currently are planning on having there be some limitations, but I'm not prepared to say exactly what those will be at this point in time.
Sounds good. Second question, will PvP also have the same raffle system that Duels uses?
I think that's a possibility, though I wasn't thinking it would be. Whereas Duels is kind of considered one of a like in the mini game series. PvP is more of a main feature, so we'll likely do something a little bit more robust there. In the initial iteration, when we just have PvP and we don't have PvE or crafting out yet, that may be somewhat limited. But I think once we get to more of a complete system with PvE and crafting happening, we'd probably see, rewards like specific crafting ingredients that you can only get through PvP as an example, as a potential thing that could happen. And yeah, so I guess in general, PvP is thought of more as a main feature of the game rather than a kind of a mini game, which is what the raffle system is more meant to be applied to.
Perfect. I think you already mentioned a little bit during your update, but anything you want to add on page 10?
As just reminding everyone that it hasn't been forgotten. We just have limited bandwidths and priorities that come before that. But with our tournament system being becoming another one of my focuses in the near term, that does bring us closer to having that. And I still think it's going to end up being closer to around the time that we get travel out that we would be seeing those page 10s start to show up. So it's still a little bit further down on the timeline, but it is at least, I guess, more in sight now with the tournament system kind of being brought back into focus.
Thank you. So, will a hero's level in some shape or form be required for future profession quests rather than just tied to profession stat level?
So yeah, this is one I think we've kind of alluded to in the past as well. It's there will likely be some sort of limitation, but I'm not sure exactly that it's going to be a strict level limit. It's more of like limited by PvE, where you may have to like make an area safe before you can actually do a profession quest there. And that may not necessarily require you to do it with the actual heroes that are going to be doing the profession quests. It could be if you have actual combat, like a group of combat heroes that you've specialized for that, they could potentially clear it out and then make it safe for your other heroes. Though, of course, since your stats do matter with profession quests, that will, if you are using just low level heroes, it won't be quite as effective. So that will also be a thing.
Very nice. Uh, on a little bit of a broader scale, how do we envision travel? For instance, is the end goal to have a character move around the map?
Yes, so the plan is basically for your heroes to be moving around to different regions on the map. The regions that exist right now, you can see in on the Sarandel map. If you click on the lands, it tells you what region they belong to, and you can kind of see. I think I can't remember how many different regions we have right now. I think something like 15, maybe less than that. But yeah, so each of those regions will be places that your heroes can travel to, and the goal is for each of those places to have different things that you can do in them. Of course, visiting the lands that are there will be an important part of the game, but also having PvE type things available there, having special events and different things that you wouldn't be able to participate in unless you have heroes there. And in a lot of cases, if with PvE, you'd want to have like specific leveled heroes most likely to be able to do some of those things. And kind of in general, the goal is to make the world a much more living place where when you come in, you look at what's going on, you can see there's an event going on over in the corner over there, and you happen to have guys that are doing quests like in the next region over, so you can get there quickly and participate in that. And just kind of making the world a much more living and you know much more living place for you to experience and interact with.
Awesome. There's actually another question which may be mostly covered by that anyway, but what's the any sharing of the vision for PvE beyond what you?
So yeah, I guess beyond with what I said, I mean PvE. I think as you've seen with just in general, we kind of have to go in steps. So I think early PvE is going to be fairly simple in terms of there'll be certain fights you can do in certain regions. But ultimately, I would like us to get to a point where we can have dungeons in the game and like special events that occur that are more global, where it's not just you as a single player that's participating, but others are also working together to solve some problem or something like that. So it I do have a pretty big vision for that, but it is something that's going to take a long time to get to. So I think just expect kind of baby steps, and we'll do one piece at a time.
Absolutely. Let's see. Quest formulas. So we have published the formulas for mining and gardening because they directly correlate to other balances that wallet holds. We have not released the formulas for fishing and foraging, which are unrelated to other wallet holdings. At this time, are we planning on releasing those?
I believe in the past I've said if someone was able to guess close enough that I would confirm that it was correct. But in general, we're kind of following the same philosophy that I think most like game companies do with their games, especially like in RPGs, where they usually do not release their formulas. People do eventually figure it out, it seems like, but in general, the formulas are just as a part of the game, it's a little bit of the mystery of it. We have dropped a lot of information about kind of how they work, and we'll probably continue to answer questions of that nature, but currently not planning to just release the formulas for now.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, and then this is the question that you referenced earlier. Any insight on when we can start working on Perilous Journey land tournaments?
Yep. So I guess that kind of ties right back to what I was saying about tournaments before. It's still in the works, and right now we're taking steps to just get a version of the tournament system out that we would be able to then use for that and other things. Um, so I don't know. I can't really give a date, but I do think it's still around the time that travel comes out is probably where it would be feeling close. I'll say so.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited for the tournament setup that we've been talking about. I think it's going to be really good. There's another question. Is the team planning on publishing a new roadmap? Yes. Yes, we are. No, we definitely are planning on that and have been in discussions on getting things organized for it. And we are probably going to tie it in with a couple other things that we have in the works as well. But yes, that is absolutely in the plans. All right. We're gonna give Hubert a break for a minute, and it would be great to be able to submit offers on the tavern to for heroes that have been listed. So, Beetle Dude, Magnus, anybody else that wants to thoughts?
I can take that one. So we don't have any specific plans for that on the roadmap. It's something we could definitely do, but it would kind of be like a ground up rewrite of the way the auction contracts work. Might be something we address in the future, but currently there's a lot of stuff going on right now, as you guys know. So it's not on the priority list, but definitely something we could look at in the future.
Thank you. Yeah, all about prioritizing. So a question on power-ups, which I'm sure Hubert can take, but if anybody else wants to give him a break, they're welcome to. Uh, how long will power-ups last? For example, if I have 1,000,000 jewels staked for a month and get enough sea jewel for all of the power-ups, do they expire with my staking period?
Yeah, I should probably be the one to answer that, I guess. So yeah, power-ups do last until your staking period expires. So if you do allow that to lapse and you still want your power-ups, you'd have to renew your locking period to be able to do that. But as long as you could always extend your locking period as well. So if you're getting close and you're not looking to withdraw or anything, you could just extend before it expires, and you wouldn't see any impacts to your power-ups in that case.
Perfect. Thank you. And we will have a write-up on how power-ups work as well for when that comes. So when the release is coming, we will also put that out. So there will be information ready to be read. I know Dr. Zipper has already been working on that as well. And speaking of Dr. Zipper, for our last question of the day, there are a couple that we're not going to get to, so we'll get to those next week. Don't worry, we will answer them. But since I made Dr. Zipper join the AMA for this question, I'm going to slide this one in here. Don't know if anyone on the team can answer this. It calls for someone with an academic background in medieval history. But in terms of history, did the common folk of villages have local heroes that they would create legends and stories about? Say someone walked through a village with a sword, would everyone know who that hero was? And do examples like this shape how you guys on the team are creating the lore of the world? Over to our doctor.
Well, I guess it's a good thing that somebody on the team does have such a background. Hi everybody. So that's a great question. That has maybe a lot of potential answers to it and can go in a number of directions. So I mean, I guess I would say a couple of things on the history aspect of that anyway. One, despite what we would like to believe are our own perceptions of what the Western European Middle Ages look like, maybe don't totally align with what we like to see in our fantasy RPGs. Which is to say that we like to make up a whole bunch of stuff about what the Middle Ages look like that really was not the case at all. See Game of Thrones or Tolkien or anything else. So the fact is, like, there is probably not going to be some random guy walking through a village with a sword who does not live in that village. And if somebody, some fancy guy in fancy clothes with a sword and a retinue does kind of show up to that village, they're probably from the aristocracy of somewhere off in the distance, and that's probably not going to be good news for you in your village. Like, you do not want those people coming by because they're going to bring unhappy things. That said, there are definitely folk legends, folk heroes Probably the best example of somebody like that would be somebody like Joan of Arc, who, did come from the peasantry and ended up, leading the French army to victory in the Hundred Years' War, eventually. So there are people who, are treated as folk heroes, but I think in general they will be coming less from kind of military backgrounds or something like that. And really, I think you see more of that in terms of religious stuff. So, maybe somebody in a village, maybe they die under mysterious circumstances or something like that, and they're buried, and then over the next, half a century or something like that, a bunch of miracles start happening at their tomb. And eventually, a legend grows up around them and they get sainted, and then you have, Saint so and so who died mysteriously or something like that. And you get all of these folk legends springing up around there. So yes and no, just maybe in different kinds of ways, which I think is a complete and total digression from maybe the point of the question, which is to say, are we thinking about building lore out of cool stuff like that? And the answer is yes, of course. Um, and I think we see some of that in the game already. We see what is it, Sir Derek, I think. In Serendale, we've got people like Rolando and Mr. Gribbets in Crystal Vale, and Sir Parn and others who seem to be prominent figures who legends are springing up around. So, in terms of the kind of classic, like, here's, somebody important, here's, a knight or somebody or an adventuring hero or adventuring party who's gone on and done, cool, great things. Definitely seems like we are adding lots of those guys into the game, as is very typical for this kind of genre anyway. As to the rest of the details, and if we're going to start building out quests around those figures and having them appear in some of the lands and villages and regions, I will need to leave that to the second best of dads, and Beetle and Hubert and others who are focusing on all of that stuff. But I have no doubt that will definitely be a part of things in the future. So to summarize, yes, real life is way more boring than fantasy, but that's okay because it's still cool too. So thanks, everybody.
So just to clarify, first off, I think that was exactly the point of the question. But also, are you telling me that Disney has lied to us?
Yes. Nevertheless, Disney's Robin Hood is still the best movie ever.
True. This is true. We can debate which version later. Yeah, no, that was awesome. Anything anybody wants to add on the lore front, and then we'll go to our wrap up?
I will say that there's still a lot of work that we'd like to do in that realm. That we are going to be building that out more and more as that becomes more critical, I guess, as we're moving to PvE and PvP, obviously. So it's definitely on the roadmap, and we'd like to give it a lot more, love. And it sounds like Dr. Zipper is going to be a good advisor in that realm as well. So nice summaries.
Awesome. Well, yeah, with that, we will move to our wrap up for the last couple minutes, and then we will call it a day. Like I said, any questions that we did not get to, I know there are a few, we will hit next week, so stay tuned. And let's see, for wrap up, we will go reverse order of update, which I believe we ended with Hubert.
Really like that you're trying there, though. The Hubert was growing on me. I don't really have much more to say. Always happy to be here, and always happy to, communicate with all you guys in the community and work together with everyone here on the team to develop new features for the game. Been really fun, and I'm really excited for the future. We got a lot coming. It's just a lot of work to do. So Thank you all for being patient as we work through it, and we have power ups coming just around the corner, so hope you're excited for that. And yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you, and don't worry, this is taking all of my concentration. So Hubert will definitely be back in the near future. It really just makes me think of the Cool Whip scene from Family Guy, so I got a kick out of it. And let's see, next would be Pieface.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks everybody for this AMA, and also very excited for all the updates and really cool things we have coming up this year in all throughout all the pillars and all everywhere in everything we're doing. Just it's the year of the game and we're making it happen. Bullish.
Most definitely. Beetle Dude?
Can you start calling me Beetle Yude? That'd be
Absolutely.
great. Thank you. All right. Yeah, well, I would just say, I just echo what has already been said and what I already did say. Just excited to be working on some awesome features. I'm excited for them to be in the game. Looking forward to being able to use them. Power ups, even. I've got all my guys ready to go, ready to get powered up. So I'm excited for that to get launched here shortly, and just everything that's coming in the future. Just great stuff. That's all from me. Thanks for all your support, everybody. Beetle Yude out.
Thank you. Might have to go with Beetle Jude. I like that one too. All right, let's see, Magnus.
Yep. So looking forward to getting power ups out here soon. Reminder that there'll be an outage window this afternoon for about an hour. And also, if you're running any kind of script that depends on the number of heroes or max attempts, particularly for Clayton, be sure and update those post release to make sure your services keep running. And then, as a final word, I'll just say,
Oh, I was really waiting for more there.
I was
You got me.
waiting for it.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh man. All right. And finally, the man who started this trap himself, Frisky Fox.
Yes, I've been called a trap before. Let's see. I guess just like looking back on this week, all the things that have been done, all the commits, all the hours logged, it's really awe-inspiring to see the amount of effort and work and love that's being poured into this project by so many different people. And that's not just on our team; that's also in the community. There's a lot of really good builders out there, and even just if you're creating memes or sharing on Twitter or like whatever, there's just so much effort and work and like momentum behind everything here. So it's really amazing to see, and it's blown my mind continuously since the very start of this project. And it seems like it's just accelerating, it's not slowing down at all. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for all your efforts on our team, in the community, and just for all of your love and care for this project. And with that, I'll just end it by saying bullish and thank everyone for coming. And I'll see you guys in Discord and Slack and everywhere else. Thank you.
Bullish.
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 Also noting I didn't say a single time during that last part, so eat it.
Achievement
Nailed
unlocked.
it.